catching things like that.
Yeah,
It's unfortunate, but that's...
Should we dig into dual agency?
Oh boy, Jesus! I think that should be a podcast all in of itself. But the reality,
You just topped off my bourbon. I figured we were.
Oh, we went
going
ready
in.
for the rabbit hole is open.
Well, you guys know my opinion. Dual agency doesn't exist. I know it exists by state law. Like Pennsylvania does recognize it. But how can you represent two people in the same conversation in the same transaction? It goes back to actually where we started the conversation. Like this post that our client saw, how do you represent two different people in the exact same transaction?
Yeah, and I think I am very slowly reading an interesting book called Never Split the Difference. And it was written by Chris Voss. He was like a hostage negotiator.
Oh, I need to read this.
And he always says that a frequent mistake people meet in negotiating is just like taking the lazy way. And like if one person says 10 and the other person says 5, you settle on 7.5. And which is beyond arbitrary. Such a sloppy, lazy way to negotiate. Because in order to be a tactful negotiator, you need to understand the full scope of motivations on either side of the table. And to your point, if the same broker is on both sides of the deal, you are very literally splitting the difference. No one...
Well, you're not advocating.
Yeah,
you're advocating for you to get a transaction done.
And
That's exactly what you're
doing. And in the end, it just becomes a, how can we appease both sides? It's not a win for anyone.
Right.
You're just appeasing both sides.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even go so far as to say it needs to be a win for somebody, because I don't think all negotiations need to end with a winner or a loser. But how, in that example, can either party feel like their best interests were actually taken care of, right? It's just not possible.
They can't. They can feel comfortable about the transaction that they made.
The outcome.
They might feel comfortable about, the relationship they built with the person that they were, doing business with. But there was not an advocate on either side.
No.
It was just someone who facilitated a transaction.
Right.
And I guess if you go into a negotiation and you want to be in this building, like this is the space for you for whatever reason, and you're willing to pay more or whatever the case may be, I guess maybe then you wouldn't care. But
I think you do, and that's actually a really good segue to the project we just worked down south, where client